just saw it. I haven't seen it. The pressure, he's in trouble. Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle. It's a Dolphins touchdown. Throwing deep upfield down the near side. Man open. Touchdown! Looking deep. He's got a man. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it for a touchdown again. Beautiful day to be a Dolphins fan. 1, 2, 3, let's go!
All right, huddle up, huddle up. We're gonna crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, 80. Wait, 80, set. Drivers, start your engines.
This is the Finish Line.
I coached a great offensive lineman in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs to that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. Ballgame.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another episode as we welcome you in to the Finish Line. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, the legendary Richmond Webb, the Triple OG, the man in all white, even though we should be all wearing black today, Mr. Ballgame. What a do, boys. Obviously, another tough Christmas Day loss, 4 straight, really, I'll hand it over to you guys, but this is how I felt because I didn't talk to you guys right after the game. I talked to you, Richmond, today. Ball game, we talked in the post game thing or whatever show. As I sat there and I talked to multiple people through that night and I tried to process the loss, it just didn't make sense to me, boys. I was sitting there saying to myself, this man was out there. I was seeing top 3 play at the position for like almost 40 minutes of that game, 45 minutes of that game. And then it all of a sudden just plummeted off the face of the earth. And it just didn't make sense to me. And now obviously, and we'll get into everything that's come out. Now that's come out, what's come out, sure. Clearly this played a pivotal role in what we ended up seeing. You still saw, and, I said to someone today, because they're like, well, what about all the high-level throws we saw before the interceptions, but after they hit? You know what I said to that person? Remember the Waddle throw against the Bills? That was after the hit. Remember that one that got us right down inside the 5-yard line? That was right after that hit that made him wobbly and barely able to walk. So, to me, I mean, listen, we might have got some kind of explanation, but, boys, this one hurts. And now, we're in a predicament where Uno got to get right, but also, with or without Uno, Richmond, we got a ball game to win with Teddy Bridgewater, plain and simple. And there's a reason we made him one of the highest paid backups in the NFL for a game like this. Right, Richmond?
Yeah, no question. Like you said, quality backup. He's been a starter in this league. And I think the last time it was just crazy. We play the Jets in the first play. He gets injured. So you really can't give him a chance to get in there, run the offense, and see how things are going. But yeah, we got to put our trust in Teddy this week. Maybe the following week also. I don't know. It's just the concussion protocol is something different. I thought we played well enough to win on Sunday, but I thought we did things to kind of keep Green Bay in the game, and we go down and score, and then we would let them come back and score, and then one of the other things I looked at when we missed that field goal in the second half, I thought that was key. If we make that, try to get some momentum going, but a lot of people were upset at Tua, 3 interceptions. At Sunday, I didn't know he had a concussion, so I'm not going. But I don't just look and say, okay, it's just one person's fault, because I saw other things we could have did better to where the game really didn't have to be that close. But definitely, when I heard that news on, I believe it was Monday, it was a downer, and I was like, whoa, maybe that explains some of it. And then I think I was on Twitter, and then you posted the play where you can see his head bang, hit the ground. I was like, no, that looks similar to the play. Wasn't the same tackle, but the way his head hit the ground when we were playing at Cincinnati, when he kind of, had his body kind of locked up. So I'm just hoping that the young man is okay. But like you said, it's time for other guys to step up, fill the void, get this gentleman a chance to get healthy. And it is what it is. Nobody's going feel sorry for us or anything. It's the NFL. So next guy's got to step up. We got New England, and what you gonna do? So how you doing, Mr. Ballgame?
I am actually pretty good. All things considered, prayers go out to Uno and his family. You never want to lose a player at any point during the season, but with this, what's being right here on the cusp of possibly making the playoffs, you definitely don't want to lose your top quarterback in these situations. But this does, like we said, it does make a lot of sense in regards to some of the things that we were thinking and questioning as to how his game just completely plummeted after 3 stellar quarters. Really, it's unfortunate, right? But it wouldn't be Dolphins. It wouldn't be the story of the Miami Dolphins if something like this didn't happen. Saying so. I think at this point right now, rallying behind Teddy, sending positive energy that way, and just hoping he's been paying attention, and he's been taking advantage of any reps that he's been getting over the past, 9-10 weeks. We'll have him acclimate enough to be able to go in there and lead this group. Now, I don't necessarily think it's the tallest of tasks, but it is indeed a task that needs to be handled because of the fact that it's a division game, and then you got the Jets at the end of the season too. So if he can buy us these 2 games and we can win these 2 without him, that gives him the time he needs to rest and consider what's coming next for him, and then roll into the playoffs, essentially ready for that next chapter on, extension of the season. Some people call it the second season.
Bro, if we win this weekend in New England ball game and the Jets lose in Seattle, we're locked in. And then there's even no reason. There's no reason. Listen, win this weekend, hopefully clinch, and let Tua figure himself out. You know what I mean? But like, you're right, bro. Right now, it's Teddy time, right?
Yeah.
Ball game.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. He's got to prove. It's time for him to earn his paycheck. Really, that's what it comes down to. As Richmond alluded to, he was a starter in this league, considered to be one of the top quality backups. You know what I'm saying? But even then, you expect your backup to be able to come in and, in the absence of your starter, not miss a beat. So the expectations are that he can still come out, maybe not make some. Maybe he can, maybe he can't. We'll find out on Sunday if he can make all of the same throws. But I know that to his anticipation and his ability to navigate the ball into those tight windows is, is second to none to anyone in the league. So I don't expect that from Teddy, but I do expect him to be efficient enough to be able to continue to move the ball and get first downs.
The keyword. Yep. Just get the first. Listen.
Tyreek said,
run it 30 times. and keep it simple.
Pound them.
Run it 30, 35 times and do everything you do with Teddy. Keep it simple. Play action, bootlegs, base it off everything you're doing in the run game. Get the flow of the game to one side, get them going to the other side. Bro, just run the football. Do you think they expect us to go into New England and run the ball 35 times? Hell no. Hit them. And let Teddy get comfortable and let Teddy play off the run game, and we will win this game. I believe this.
You go 20 carries of Jeff Wilson, 15 carries of Mostert. You could be right into him for some great things to happen, especially if you commit to the run game like that, like you said. I think it's
I think so.
I think it's important. I think it's important that they go ahead and continue to prove the teams that they're willing to do that as well. You know, the clock has not been favorable to us because I don't know when we'll get into it, but like defensively, man, I saw some stuff that just mind boggled me in regards to how we played. The same stuff that I saw the same stuff Green Bay ran on Sunday. I saw it for the last 4 weeks, and we misaligned it and gave up. How you give up 19 yards on a toss sweep, bro? Like, and one guy, Lazard took out 3 players all by himself because we weren't prepared for it. We didn't do the homework studies. You see what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Yep. Most of that stuff all about film study. The keys, all of that motion. That motion was strictly designed to move one person, but 3 people moved, and you left the edge guy exposed. Now he's got to deal with 3 guys coming at him, blocking him at the edge, and then all the other guys had to do was just climb to the next level and turn it inside. Create a hole. Now your middle linebacker got to try to run the hump, and your outside linebacker from the other side, he's completely out of the play because now the guard has stepped forward and caught him backside. You know what I mean? It's just crazy to me. Like, how do we not see that stuff?
Yeah.
But 19 yards on a freaking toss. That's crazy,
bro. I was like, bro, don't you notice? All of a sudden, our run defense gets leaky at the most inopportune times. Buffalo, we give 8 yards to Singletary all game, then we give 34 on the drive to seal the victory. They take 7 minutes off the clock because this guy gets almost 40 yards on a drive against us when we held him to under 10 all game. It's just, bro, here's the thing. You know what our problem with our defense is? This is the problem. And it's not our fault our defense lost. Let me say that by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
Okay, we talk about Boyer situationally, play calling, and it leaks into this defense just at the most inopportune times. You all of a sudden see leaks when you can't have them, like Darth Cater Kohu. Go back a couple games ago, hadn't had a penalty like that all year, and then takes a pass interference to bring him inside the 5, and he hadn't done that all year, and he just didn't do a simple fundamental thing, and he's been our best guy. Turn your head back, and you're not going to get called. Just simple things like that. But our defense, but other than that, other than situationally and inopportune times they get leaky, our defense has been, they ain't the reason we lost in San Francisco or Green Bay, that's for sure. So
I think for me, man, it really comes down to accountability to each other. And I say it all the time. People don't necessarily buy into this, but it's always been my thought process that your defense is always your players, depending on how you carry yourself as a coach, they carry your energy and your persona with them onto the field. If you fired up, if you are a guy that's without a shadow of a doubt looking to just go out and just dismantle whoever's on the opposite side of you in terms of the offensive side of the ball, then they carry that energy on the field with them. And if you tell them, you show them through your actions, if you can't get the job done, I'll get somebody else to do it. And they go out there, most guys don't want to come off the field. But in these critical downs that we need to get teams out the field, I see a lackluster effort. I don't see these guys out there with a level of urgency that tells me that they're carrying this, you know what, y'all ain't getting another yard. We don't give 2 craps about it. No matter what you get right now, you ain't going to get that when you want it the most because we're going to take that away from you attitude. But that's what I see with the 49ers. D'Amico Ryan has those boys, all 11 of them, playing for each other. We had that at one point, and we lost it. And I think when it's just I haven't seen it this year with Boyer, man. I'm just sorry. I haven't seen it. I've seen a lot of individually great things, but as a cohesive all 11 guys working for each other, I don't see it. And that's what's killing us.
You want me to be specific? I really only see it in the front.
That's it.
That's it. I really only see it in our front. You can see those guys are working as a unit, and that's why they've been our best unit. But, I mean, look at X is where he's at. I mean, I couldn't believe he dropped that pick. I mean, were you guys not like Pro Bowl X makes that pick is all I'm saying against the Packers. You know what I mean? I think you want me to be honest? I think our defensive front has been our best and most consistent unit out of any unit on special teams, especially special teams, offense or defense. I think Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb. You want to they've been our most consistent guys.
They get my vote
out of any side of the football.
Yeah, Sunday, man. Sunday when I saw Aaron's most lethal weapon sideline with a hip injury, I was like, "Oh, this game's in the bag." And then I got up. Yeah. Once Watson was out of the game, I was like, "Oh, well, that real deep threat guy, he's gone." So Lazard, how we letting Lazard get behind us? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Guys that are not known to be anything.
But our defense gave that offense plenty of chances to win that ball game in that third and fourth quarter, bro. It's just that fine, you know. I am a huge stickler on the defense just because I believe in how great they can be. Even with the key losses that we have, I still have supreme faith in these young guys because they don't fold, right? But they just make bonehead decisions and they make bad plays at the wrong times. And is it let me ask you guys this, okay? Richmond, perfect example. I mean, you've been in these meetings, who are the players blaming? Themselves? Because I don't blame the players at the fact that we're only sending 4 and we're not getting any pass rush and you're letting guys overextend plays and kills us. That's a coaching thing. That's not on the players. You know what I'm saying? Our players aren't being utilized.
If you can't generate pressure with your front 4, you typically will have to blitz a linebacker, safety, or somebody, especially when you're going against a guy like an Aaron Rodgers. You can't just let him sit back there and have all day because he'll pick you apart. So, I agree with you on that.
And you saw with Josh Allen, right? Remember that touchdown before the half, how he got outside the pocket because we only sent 4. Jerome Baker had to hold coverage for 5 or 6 seconds, and he found the guy in the end zone. I mean, that's not on the players. You're only sending 4, and they're not generating enough pressure as it is sending 4. And the 3rd and 17 play ball game that we always talk about, allude to now. That's you pin your ears back, and what did we do? We sent 4. I don't even think we sent 5 on that play, if I remember correctly.
Nope, we sent 4, and we didn't even assign the middle linebacker to even do a true butt drop to the sticks. Now he was stuck there about 8 yards deep. The ball was caught at 12, and the guy ran for the other. You know what I'm saying? That type of foolishness. If you're trying to stop the guy from getting the first down, have him butt drop all the way to the line. To the first down marker, right? Yeah. He could do a slow drop and read. You know what I'm saying? But there's no way you give up that type of yardage. And then if he isn't, make him catch it in front of you, rally up, make the tackle, they off the field, done. But you gave up 17 yards. That's a backbreaker, man. I'm sorry. Then guys started to think to themselves bro, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Yeah. Now they picking at each other. You see that from time to time, guys pointing at each other, dropping their head, all that type of stuff. But I didn't see anyone on the sideline firing them up saying, okay, we'll get them the next time type of thing. You know what I mean?
Bro, did you see Aaron Rodgers when he went to his defense on the sideline? Getting his defense worked up, yelling, basically saying, yo, get the ball, get me the ball back, I'll get you more points.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into this. Okay, so obviously 26-20 Christmas Day, bah humbug, right? Not fun. Let's talk about first of all, we'll come back to Tua. We're going to talk a lot about Tua in this episode, clearly. But let's start off with this. And let's start off with why we think they should be running the football. The run game again, boys. Raheem Mostert 5.6 a carry, Jeff Wilson 4.1 a carry and a touchdown. 82 yards on 17 carries between the two of them. Okay, so on average, you know, they would have had over 150 if they had a 30, right? If they had 30 carries, they would have had over 150 yards. Anyways, your guys' thoughts on the run game again, because even though between them we got 82 yards in the touchdown, again, averaging 5.6 a carry, 4.1 a carry. You know, the run game again, I thought was impressive when given a chance. What were you guys' overall thoughts on the run game against the Packers? Because remember, the Packers were 29th coming into this game against the run. Richmond?
Yeah, when you know a team doesn't stop whether the run or the pass, especially the run, and then you're having success with it, you want to continue to do that. Like you said, if you ball another 12, 13 times, imagine, like you said, you go for definitely 125, 150 yards a game. But at the same time, you're keeping Green Bay off the field, or their offense off the field. So at the same time, when they do get the ball, now they're in a pressure situation to try to press, to make plays, to stay up with the game, which forces them to possibly do some things that they try to do it quicker to stay up with the game. Because if you keep it going, you keep field goals, you're scoring points, this and that. And it also creates more opportunities for your passing game, because those linebackers are going to start to come up, the safety's going to come up to try to stop the run. And at the same time, that's when you pull the play action out, or you hit them with a pass when they're not expecting. You make it look just like running a run play where you line up in the same formation, do the same thing, and then you hit them with a pass, and it's another easy score. So anytime a team can't stop the run, that's an issue for them. So, you know, like both of you guys were saying, if we can run the ball and physical, hit them in the mouth, this and that, it catches a defense off guard, because the first thing they know they got to do is they got to stop the run, because if they can't stop the run, they can't get off the field and they can't get their offense to the football. So that would be a perfect situation. But, yeah, I agree. When you're having success, continue to run the ball. But a lot of times teams get away from it, and then when they want to come back from it, you kind of lost that momentum or the rhythm that you're in. Can't get back to it, but you definitely keep running the football in a situation like that.
Your thoughts, Ballgame?
Hey, man, yeah, you know, I was happy, man. I was pretty giddy about the fact that he committed early to the run game once again. I think for me, football is like boxing, right? If I know you got porous defense, I'm gonna jab you, and I'm gonna keep jabbing you until you've forced to stop giving me that jab. And then when you know what I'm saying, when you put your hands up to defend the jab, I'm gonna wear your body out. You feel me saying? Yeah, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give you the work. But Mike continues. He continues to jab, and then he's going for the kill shot in the pass game, and then you never get back to the jab. Like, the jab is setting everything up, man. Like, come on. These guys were averaging, like you said, 5.6 and 4 yards a carry. That's essentially, if it's Jeff Wilson, he in 3 downs, you got a first. With Mosa, 2 downs, you got a first. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. That's a recipe for success all day long, especially when it's set. You knew right out the bat. They're 29th against the run. I mean, they like standing in front of a wall with 100 holes in it, and they got but 10 fingers and 10 toes. You're not gonna plug it, and they've accepted that, because this late in the season, you're not getting it fixed. I'm sorry, they're not getting it fixed. So you expose it even more. But you know, I just don't get it, man. He wants to showcase. I think him making that, to me, I think now at this point, him making that promise to Tyreek that he's gonna get him 2,000 is screwing up this offensive efficiency.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Like, come on, man. The W is bigger. Tyreek will understand if he only get 1,800, man. Like,
I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with why he's still out here pressing this ball up and down the field, as opposed to committing to this running game. But I think Reek's a professional enough to say, you know what, Coach, we got to get in the offs. We need the W's. You know what I'm saying? My personal stats, we can get that next year after we've got about 65% of this install done, and we know what I'm saying, we're in a better space. Start out the season, and we can set that for next year. This first year, let's get in these offs. I ain't never missed them. I got to make sure I get in now. Come on now, like, consistently, I've never missed the playoffs. That's more important, Coach, than these personal stats.
Yep, that's facts.
And here we was thinking it might have been Tua and the MVP, but he just made the actual legitimate call because that Tyreek brought that up.
Yeah.
That was from Tyreek's mouth.
Exactly.
That McDaniel promised him 2,000 yards. Holy Nikes. You might have just absolutely duck hunted that one right out of the air, bro. That's on target. I mean, that's yo, bro. Here's my plate. Give me some more food for thought, man. Jeez.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
I was thinking about that too. Like, man,
you nailed it. Damn.
It's got that some of that has to be in their thought process, man. When you take because you can't logically explain why there's someone tracking all of the statistics of our runs, and they know that we were efficient in the run game. That you abandoned it. Like the first interception, you think to yourself, man, you're gonna stop us to run again. And what do? Pass. What? I'm sitting on the couch like, why? Why are we passing the ball?
Bro, we passed like we're down by 13.
Exactly.
6 minutes left.
And I'm like, what are we doing, man?
And you're really unraveling all the work that the defense was doing in terms of they had some 3-and-outs in there, getting you the ball back, and you were just going out and giving them the ball back. It's like
plus then you turn around and now you had the run game going, and Richmond can tell you this, even though he played tackle. They like 10 in the run game. They love 10 off. When you can get the run game, I'm saying, bro, when you can get the run game going.
That's bragging rights, bro. You're winning the trenches.
The guys up front,
Oh,
yes, sir.
You talking your smack. When you running for 150, 160, you talking your smack. When you're gashing them for 12 every time, you talking your ish. Well, I know Richmond wasn't.
You pick him up and carry him to the picking them up and carrying them to the next first down line.
Boy Scout.
Got it.
And it works the same way as if you're throwing the ball a lot, because you got to rotate your defense. Once your defensive line if they're steady getting smashed, you get leaning on them. They're gonna try to rotate them to try to say, man, we got to try to keep fresh guys in there because they just wearing us down.
And then the less talented jabronis come in, and you keep leaning. You lean even hard.
Yep.
All right. You lean like a 30-day diet. I love it, buddy. I love it. Well, we pretty much covered everything except the elephant in the room. Tour, because I mean, you both got the all 22. Tour's performance up until that. I mean, I got like 600 likes on Twitter over this. Bro, his performance up until amazing, that hit was freaking elite, bro. Amazing. That was some of his best tape he put out. And I'm sitting here, and then, and even some of the throws after the hit. But, it makes sense when you hear, I don't know if you guys heard what Raheem Mostert said today, but, after the game, Tua said when they talked about the Raheem Mostert pick, that seam throw, that looked like he was throwing like a stick or a hitch or something, and he ran like just up the seam. After they asked him about it post game, and he said he actually didn't know if he called the right play. He couldn't remember. And then you hear what McDaniel said today, right? McDaniel said during film review on Monday, he had questions about consistency of things I study daily on tape about Tua, and continued to question Tua. And then with the questions Tua gave, he encouraged him to see a doctor. So they were watching the film today. He was seeing inconsistencies on film. He studies daily because we know the film junkie this guy is. Right, and he was asking him about the inconsistencies, and the answers led to McDaniel saying, you need to see a doctor. And then he was placed into protocol. Richmond, brother, I know might not have ever dealt with something like that, but could you explain the process of the answers you're looking for in terms of inconsistencies you're seeing on film, making a coach go, maybe you got to see the doctor, brother?
Well, I think the thing, I'll try to explain that's a little bit above my pay grade, because normally the line would have to do all that bit. From my understanding,
from my son.
Okay, well, I'll give a quick little deal, and I'll turn over the ballgame bit.
Okay, cool.
Anytime you have a film review, you're going over the play that was called, and you know your progressions. I do know that. And we're in a separate room. Offensive line is a separate room, in the skill positions, whatever. But then you go through it, you look at the coverage, and you're saying, this your first read, second, and the coach might say, "Why did you go here when you possibly should have went here?" And I think it probably stands out more, like you say, if you look at the first half of how he probably had his best first half, and then you start looking and say, okay, why is he doing this now? Because he wasn't doing it earlier. And like you said, you watch film, like, okay, normally he makes this throw because I
That's
saw
where I
some,
was at. Yeah.
yeah, no, normally he makes a throw. I mean, I've seen this kid make throws in tight windows that I'll be like, man, are you sure you should have threw that? But it gets, I mean, it's almost frustrating for a defense because it goes by you so quick, and then you'd be like, oh man, why didn't I see it? Or I should have had it. But based on the way he was answering, after like 2 or 3 times, and you'd be like, wait a minute, this ain't making sense. And for him to make that decision, say, no, you need to go get checked out because when he's on his point, he's sharp. He know how he's picked up the offense, this and that. And now you come in here, you've been consistent pretty much all season long, how you answer these questions. And now it's kind of like, no, something ain't right because this normally he answers this way, and it's kind of like, what play was that again, or whatever. It's like, no, you need to go. So that's my thought, as far as that. But definitely, yeah, it was some things that stuck out like a sore thumb.
All right, Ballgame. Let's hear your thoughts. First of all, Blue Wave says Richmond Webb, the best offensive lineman ever. We sure miss you. And TE says the team from top to down is undisciplined. That comes from young coaches. Kratos said we win because we are disciplined. Miami's not disciplined. Good point, TE. Anyways, continue, Ballgame. The floor is yours, my friend.
So our protocol was always pretty straightforward. On the sideline, it was always had a spotter, right? And the spotter's responsibility was to ask the players 3 questions right there on the line if we noticed something out of order. If we caught it late, unfortunately, and because our film day was the next Saturday after our Friday night games, right? So the morning the kid come in, we have everybody checked over by the doctor that was there on campus and things of that nature. And the first question right out of the bat was, what was the call, right? So when you asked right on the sideline, what was the call? What were your responsibility? And what did you see, right? And based on those answers, because you know that you've consistently drilled this all week long into the individual, there shouldn't be too much of a variance in what their answers are. If you're getting a slurred response, that's a sign right off the bat that something cognitively is wrong. If they're having a difficult time formulating the words, into some semblance of an answer that makes logical sense based on what the overall portion of what they were responsible for is wrong, then that's also something that leads you to say, okay, well, we might need, just to be on the safe side, go ahead and sit you. And then also just the motor skills, right? Especially for defensive players, the motor skills, right? Being able to, and touch the nose and, following the eyes and things of that nature. For a quarterback, though, because our quarterback, Ricky Town, had got concussed in the game, they asked him, the key question was, what was the last thing you remember? And then from there, it works backwards, right? And they told him what the play was, and they asked him, what were your reads? Right? And if he couldn't remember what his reads was, then right at that point, right then that something is off, because it shouldn't be a 30 to 45 second answer from him relaying back to you what transpired. And with Mike sitting down with Tua on Monday and Tua not being able to regurgitate to him right away what those answers were based on what he's seeing on the screen and watching himself do it, that in itself lends you to say, you know what, just go get checked, because I know this is not you. I've seen you fire these answers off, no problems. Even, and you generally go through the mistakes, because the things that he did well, you don't necessarily need to harbor on those. It's the glaring differences and what are completely outliers. And those interceptions, so what happened here? What was the call? Do you remember? He's got to spit it off. And if he can't remember what the call was, then that's a clear sign right there that it's something short term or something is off. But he showed up with headaches. That's a clear sign right there. The next day after you done went home and laid down and went to sleep, and he's got light sensitivity, and those headaches that's a clear indicator of a concussion of some grade. Maybe it can be low grade as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be a level 3. You know what I'm saying? But even level 1, light sensitivity and things of that nature. So I know most coaches have a script very similar to the one I just went through. And it all revolves around the player being able to regurgitate back to you things that they should be able to do in their sleep any minute, anytime, no matter what it is. And if he was any bit off of that, then that's also grounds in at that point because he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so cognitively something has been jarred and is off, and it's affecting his ability to regurgitate that information back to you. So
my only sports concussion was hockey. And when I woke up, I basically defender, our defender dumped the puck in, and I raced with another defender into their end. I got to the puck first, and he hit me in my numbers from behind, and my head went in to the boards, and also my skate got caught in between where the boards and the ice meet, so it like jerked weird. So I broke my knee. And I was a concussion, and the first thing when I woke up in the locker room was, "What was the last thing you remember?" That was the first thing that they asked you what was the last thing you remember, and because I never dealt with a concussion in football. I mean, I got knocked a few times, but I never dealt with anything head wise in concussion. I never actually had a football injury. Actually, go ahead.
The reason they ask you that. The reason they ask you that, just so people out there wonder this. The reason they ask that is because brains, right? We capture moments in 30-second intervals, right? And we store the most significant of those 30-second intervals away for retention later. Because everything, like if you think about something that happened to you, say when you was maybe you were 10 years old, right? Mm-hmm. That story over the course of time, right? There'll be other things that might not necessarily have happened that's being added into it, but the basis of that story will be pretty standard, even as you progress and get older. But there's 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there of that greatest day of your life type of situation. Well, if they go back and they ask you what's the last thing you remember, right? If you don't remember going into the wall, if you don't remember getting hit, then that's a significant chunk of time that you've lost. Which means that something cognitively, your ability to retrieve that information from, your for your medulla, because he hit the back of his head, which means that motor skills weren't necessarily affected, but his ability to quick process the information around him is what got screwed up, right? Because that throw to Gesicki, that shit look like the slowest. That's the slowest throw I've ever seen to a throw in his life.
But did you see how he also did? If you look at it when he falls, he's gonna land on his shoulder and he turns his body. And when he turns, so he doesn't fall, because he's gonna fall on his throwing shoulder. And then when he turns his body, he doesn't brace with his elbows or his hands. He just takes it. And then when he takes it, his arms come up a little bit. Yeah. But he looked like he avoided falling on his throwing shoulder. That's what he was trying to do. Gotta learn to brace better, man.
Like the first thing I said when I saw him go down, when I told my son Kevin, when we looked at each other, he was like, "He gotta learn how to fall, bro. Like, he gotta learn how to fall."
It's an art. People don't realize that there's actual art.
It is. Our quarterbacks at Bonnie had to go through every day. They went through a fall down drill. Right? There was a defender came, wrapped them up, and they had to tuck their arms inside. And they had to go limp and fall to the ground. You can't tense up, all of that type of stuff. But they learned it over and over again. The only reason Ricky got the concussion he did was because he tried to be a bad man on the goal line and went head first with the linebacker. First. Yeah, with the linebacker.
Like number one rule you're taught: never go head first.
Never go head first. Yeah, and he paid for it. But any other time in the middle of the field, he going
first
down.
I wasn't a mobile guy. I was a pocket guy, bro. I slide. I don't go head first for nobody, bro. All right.
Smart,
all right. I go into business for myself when I'm out of the pocket, bro. All right. So, were you gonna add anything to it, Richmond?
I was sitting here. It just brought back a memory when Ballgame was explaining that, because I was playing in the game and Marino threw an interception, and I was running down the field, and I got cracked back on, and I got hit so hard that I flew over the running back, and I hit my back, and my head bounced just like Tua's did, right? So I get up, I'm pissed off because all I can think about is this is on film. You know what I'm saying? You can't deny for everybody to see this. I'm just mad. I'm hot. But I knew it was a good hit, and that made me even worse because when I got up, the head trainer and the 2 doctors was like staring from the sideline. So when I walked away from them, and they was meeting me down the sideline. I was like, damn. So I was pissed off. So they came to me and they said, hey, you all right? I said, man, I'm all right. Leave me alone. And the good thing is, now they take your helmet. They would take your helmet back in. And it's like, do you know where you are? And this and that. And that was pissing me off because I'm like, oh, I know who
got the receipt. I know who I got the receipt on. That's what this guy said.
So I said, yeah, I'm all right. And I said, Ben, and they say, do you know where? I said, yeah, I'm at the game or whatever. And they said, well, do you know what the score is? And I couldn't remember, so I looked up at the scoreboard. I said, yeah, that's the score right there. And they said, no, we don't want you to do that. We don't want you to do that. And I was like, man, leave me alone. I'm good. Leave me alone. Don't say nothing else. And they finally left me alone, and I went back in the game. I still remember the game, but it was a hell of a hit because I remember hitting my head like, dang, I was just mad it was on film because you never want to get caught like that on film.
You know who it was?
It happened. Yeah, it was Bruce Smith. We was playing Buffalo in Miami.
Look at this guy. Oh, man.
Yeah.
You couldn't wait to get back into those trenches.
Oh, he took the shot. He got me good, bro. Yeah, he with the sniper shot. I was like, man, I didn't even see it coming. Yeah.
Oh, man. I know Ballgame's going to have a lot of thoughts on this, and it is something I wanted to bring up. Your guys' thoughts on play calls being delayed from the sideline and if it's affecting Tua, because it's something we've seen all season where the play calls are getting in really late, and even other defenses have talked about how they're timing the snaps basically off the play clock. Your guys' thoughts on how late the plays have been consistently getting in since the beginning of the season. Remember, that was one of the first things McDaniel talked about even when we won our first game of the season. What are your guys' thoughts?
It's tough, man. If you think I watched my Aggies this year, and they got it in really late consistently, and you can't get in a rhythm. And at times, if say first down, a lot of times you could jump on the ball, speed it up to where the defense is either forced to call a timeout or they had the wrong personnel in there. But when you drag it out like that, like you say, to me that plays to the defensive advantage because now they can look over the offense. You know, typically, even if it's motion or something, you normally got to line up a certain kind of way. So let's get in this set, and then they time process and say, okay, if they're in this set, they're going to either do this, or that, or depending on the down and distance. Most of the linebackers, they've studied enough to where they say, okay, it's 2nd and 7, it's probably a pass to look for this and that. But when you speed it up, it gives them the process, and a lot of times you can catch them off guard. But yeah, definitely, I think you got to be able to vary the timing of, calling the plays. When you're rhythm, you want to keep going, and that can definitely be an issue. So that needs to be fixed.
Ballgame, talk about it from the defensive side.
Well, I think, the way Mike's been doing it has actually been a benefit to the defense, because at that point now they get to come out, and if they are wrong, you're not making them pay for it because of the fact that you don't have any time at the line of scrimmage to effectively change anything. You just got to run the play as it is. And with the motions and the amount of motions that we do, a lot of that stuff it never truly affects them because you're running it so late on the clock that I ain't got to shift much of nothing. And if I do, then you do hit me with a little something. I ain't got to worry about it because we're already set. You're not forcing me to come out of my shell of what I've already thought I'm going to need for you anyway. I'm looking at the personnel groups, and I'm looking at formationally, it's already coming down. They already done broke their huddle, and they standing there waiting on you to come out of your huddle. At that point, with the call coming from the sideline, most defenses at that point, they're not going to change up much because you haven't forced them to. But when you come out with enough time to run your motions and you completely shift the formation, now, you know what I mean? Now they're forced to shift something, but you can't even get all of your stuff intricately in because you late in the play call too. Now, and that's a part of the thing that also causes a lot of those false starts for our guys, because our guys are also, they can see the big clock, right? And then they watch the clock, they see what the play clock's at, and then when they go down, they get set, and they're standing down. They're there at the line of scrimmage. They in their head counting down, and they know that, okay, we only got 8 seconds. We got to be going. So that puts our guys in bad positions too. That's all. But to me, all of this stuff is all lumped into the rookie that rookie play calling issue that Mike's having right now. And the only way he's gonna get himself out of it, he's got to get himself completely. He needs to stay ahead of himself, right? He needs to have, and if he was gonna be the one, it needs to be all right here, right, where he just run the script, especially in the instances where he give him a play or give him a formation and just have him running from the thing, because that throws off Tua's timing. It throws off the offensive lineman. It makes the defense that much more effective in their drops and in their pass rush. And them, you know what I'm saying, if they're already there waiting on the offensive line to get set, they already know what their landmarks are, what they got to get to. And it's all disruption anyway for the defense. So they can be that much more effective at the disruption piece. And he's taking efficiency away from the offense by being so late with the calls, especially when you need those timeouts in other crucial situations. Right? If you calling timeouts just because you couldn't get the play call in 2 or 3 times a game, you just wasted 3 timeouts. Come on, man.
Bad clock management. Yeah. Boys, it's officially Teddy time again. We've seen him put up yardage in garbage time when it's really counted. It's been rough sledding with Teddy this year when he's been out there. Do you guys think, because there's a lot, if we win in New England and Seattle loses, we are in the playoffs this weekend. Even if we lose this weekend and, we got to face the Jets in the final week and it's a win, get in, Patriots got to play the freaking Bills. So good luck to them. Anyways, a lot riding. This is a very meaningful game. This is the most meaningful game Teddy's played in quite some time. This is why we paid him. All right, this is why we gave him the big bucks to be a backup. It's Teddy time. I think keep it simple. Run the football 30, 35 times and predicate everything he does with, predicate everything Teddy does off the run game. What are you guys' thoughts? Can we win with Teddy at the helm?
I think you just gave the formula. It takes a lot of pressure off of a quarterback when you can establish the run early, especially on the road. I know he'll get the majority of the reps this week, this and that, but he's not in a if you don't put him in a position where he's got to go through it 30, 40 times to try to win a football game, that takes a lot, because I'm sure he throws to the receivers, but getting that rhythm and that timing down in just a short week, you got 2 days basically. You do this, and then, Fridays, maybe a little tune up, and then, you're flying to New England walkthrough, and then you're playing. But if you can get the running game going, establish this and that, moving the football, you control the clock, time management, this and that. It just takes pressure off of a quarterback that's not used to starting here. He's a veteran and stuff like that, but he doesn't feel that he has to go out and make all these throws to do like Tua or whatever to win a football game. And especially when we've shown several games that we can run the football and we can run it effectively, now is the time to lean on that to just go out and do that and get these wins. I think that's what's important. So I agree with your game plan. It ain't really much more I can add to that, because I think that it's simple, but I think it'd be very effective for us, and I think that's what we need to do.
Ballgame?
Yeah, I don't doubt Bridgewater's abilities. I just don't think that it's a good formula at this point in the season for any team to be out there throwing the ball around 40, 45 times a game. I think the key thing that's going to separate the teams that actually move further into the playoffs and into the postseason is going to be their ability to be balanced across the board. And if Mike doesn't If Mike doesn't do anything this week and next week, he's got to show that we're willing to stay balanced. I mean, that in itself throws teams off. If a team know you're gonna come out and throw the ball around 80% of the game, you tip in your hand. But if they have no idea and you stay 45, 55 in your ratios of run to pass,
Brother, if we throw
you give
30
yourself a
times
better
with Bridgewater,
chance.
we're losing. If we throw 30 times
Exactly.
or more with Bridgewater, we're losing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And to me, honestly, I've never subscribed to that theory anyway in football, period, because you're basically tipping your hand unless you completely down and completely out of the game. You're just trying to stat pad. But if you got an actual opportunity to win the game, you need to implement a run game and stick to it as much as possible. Yeah.
Yeah,
bro, and this is the time of the year when we got to prove we're willing to stay physical and stay balanced. This is it.
I mean, Ballgame, we've talked about this since Tua's rookie year. Boys, the sweet spot for Tua has always been 24 to 28 passes a game, not 30, 35, 40. That's never been his game. It's so you go back to Alabama, it's been a run game, and then he throws, around that pace. Yeah, man. Yeah. And not come out here and bomb it 40 times like he has a cannon. You know what I mean? So
that doesn't even fit the MO of Bridgewater anyway. So I'm hoping that Mike understands, like, lean on Wilson and Mostert, man. These guys look like they're ready to be able to shoulder this thing for for the near future, and it ain't going into the playoffs. You're gonna need that. You're gonna need that run game. So why not get it tuned up? Right? You've proven to the league that you can pass the ball. Now prove to the league that you can consistently run the ball. And then send a message that you're willing to be physical. Yeah. When they think you finesse, you're willing to be physical. And I think that's the most important thing, man. Because Teddy gonna need that. He needs that run game to be able to do the things. For him to be his best self, he's gonna need the run game, because I think he's above average passer for play action.
Yeah. How imperative is it for you guys that the defense travels this week, especially with a potential playoff berth on the line and two out? I mean, we're gonna need, am I by myself thinking we're gonna need Boyer's gonna have to be on point with the play calling, and this defense, they're gonna have to pick up some slack because of what we're dealing with. I think they're might have to have arguably their best game of the year, and I know it's only the Patriots, but if you're ever gonna have a game this year where you're only allowed 10 points, this is the week, ladies and gentlemen. What are you guys' thoughts? Is it imperative?
I think so. I think. Go ahead, Ballgame.
You sure?
No, but go ahead anyway. I'm joking, bro. Go ahead, bro.
I'm gonna be real quick because it's McCorkle.
No. Come on, you're not messing with you. Come on, give it to me.
Yeah, it's McCorkle Jones. You see what I'm saying? And everything that the Patriots do is essentially based off of that run game. So if we can stop their run game and put the ball into Mac Jones' hands, I feel a whole lot better. But if we allow their run game to get going, then we playing right into the strength of what they do best, and that's going to be a problem for us. Front seven got to be his best. The front seven has to be immaculate this weekend. If they haven't played one game all year that they've rallied around stopping the run and being the best version of themselves, this one needs to be it, because the Patriots are going to run the ball 35, 40 times a game. That's going to happen. We know that. They're going to feed those three running backs. Whoever's healthy is going to get a dose of being able to run the ball. So, aside from that, I don't think they offer much threat in the pass game because it's McCorkle that's leading that. But, they got to be on there. They have to be on their best. They have to be their best this weekend. Hands down, for me. So, go ahead, Rich. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I mean, I agree with you. I agree with Reason. I just, if you got to tell them they got to have their best game now after Tua's out, and you need a win to get in the playoffs, then we're in trouble. I mean, it shouldn't take you should know this. I mean, it started a couple of weeks ago that the playoffs started for the Dolphins, to where, if you win, you don't have to worry about anything. Like you said, if we win this week, that takes care of everything. just win, because now our playoff starts a couple of weeks before the actual playoffs if we want to be in there. So you got to have that attitude or that mindset and saying, hey, we're going on the road. You already know what New England's going to try to do to you because they understand, like I said, they don't want to put the ball in Mac Jones' hands. I mean, I think everybody knows that. But at the same time, we know our starting quarterback is out. And so we got to say, hey, we got running backs that's capable of running the football. Let's turn this into smash mouth football. See who's going to quit first. And I think that's the attitude you got to go up there with. You go up there, you run the ball, you run it effectively. You're going to take the crowd out the game. It's going to be, smash mouth. And then I would love to see our defense, like I say, play their best game, but go out there and have fun where they're out there making plays and this and that and high five and jumping up and down, this and that. Getting back to like Ballgame like last year when they used to make plays. They used to look like it didn't matter what the offense was going to do. We're going to go out here and make the plays and we're going to win this game. And I'd love to see that. So I think that's the way they got to approach this football game.
Let me ask you this, boys.
I just don't want to see Matt Judon out there teeing off, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, boys. We talk about the playoffs and everything like that, and there's a scenario where next week with the Jets, it could be a play and win and you're in scenario. Should they shut Tua down for the rest of the season? Because if they give him the opportunity, he's going to come back if he can, especially if we're in the playoffs. What are you guys' overall thoughts on where we're sitting at? 2 diagnosed concussions. Twitter doctors think it's 3. What are your overall thoughts on that? Should they shut him down this year, even if he gets cleared for, say, the Jets game? And I like, obviously, if the Jets game if the Jets game is meaningless and we're out, I get it. But if the Jets game means something, you know what I mean? Or we make it to the first round of the playoffs and he's cleared. What are your guys' overall thoughts on, should he be shut down or should he be allowed to go if there's games where we're going to need him coming up in the future of the season?
For me, it's do what's best for the player. And I think you evaluate him. If we win this game, and I think that can make a lot of decisions. If we win this game and don't need the next one, and even if he clears next week, I'd probably say no. Let's give him another week. We're in the playoffs. We can play him the next week. It's kind of like they played it. I thought a little extra cautious after the Cincinnati game. So if we go take care of our business, the Jet game really doesn't matter. And so if that doesn't matter, don't put him back out there. I say give him another week, this and that. But all else fails, the doctors and everything should do what's best for the player, because what you got to look at is not the next 2 or 3 weeks. You got to look at 10 or 15 years after you decide to hang it up and retire. That's when a lot of this stuff really starts to show up. So you can't just say, he can get by with it, this and that. No, if he needs to sit down, sit him down. I mean, you got to think long term in this, and that's the way I would approach it. So, but I don't know enough about it. I just know that doctors been trained in that area and this and that, and they should do whatever the best thing is for that young man. And if he's not ready to play, don't put him out there. If he's ready to play and we don't need him to play, if it was me as a coach or something, I say, hey, let's set him an extra week and we'll let him play the next week or something. But that's how I would approach it.
I think the toughest thing about this whole process is that oftentimes these professionals, the medical professionals, they have to save the player from themselves. If a guy admittedly opened up and said that he wasn't feeling well, that's a player taking accountability for how he's feeling. And Tua did that. But in the same sense, if he's feeling that he can go, I think it's going to be hard for them to convince him that he shouldn't go. So somebody's going to have to be willing to have that conversation with him to say, listen, I think we can get this one without you. It's the playoffs that we need you the most. And if you're ready to go then, if you're ready to go now, you'll be ready then. So let's err on the side of caution and give you a little more time to make sure everything with you is good. That's going to have to be that conversation really going to have to be for someone he trusts, though, and that he admires and he respects. The doctors can say what they want, but that's going to have to come from Mike. They built the relationship, and Mike's got to look him in the eyes and say, I think we can get this one without you. Just go ahead and rest up. and be ready for the playoffs. You feel me? Because I've seen it time and time again where, a guy like, they should have sat him down, but nobody wanted to have the balls to do it. And that's the crazy part about it. It happens in history where players have gone back out and played when they shouldn't have played. And with so many eyes on the Dolphins organization nowadays, they have to be that much more adamant about telling him, listen, not this time, Uno. You know what I mean? We can rally around Teddy. You help Teddy get prepared as best we can, get these 2 done, and then we can roll into the playoffs, and then we'll evaluate you then and see where we're at. We need you for the long haul.
Yeah.
Not like Richmond said, we need you for the long haul. This is your job. This is you are our franchise quarterback. So it's more than just this year. It's the years to come. And we need the best version of you. And if we mess around with that and something happens to you, the organization's never going to, they're never going to forgive themselves for that. And that's not something nobody wants to ever deal in. So Mike needs to make sure he's having that type of conversation with him, because I think Tua will go out there with two fingers on his left hand and missing a thumb on the right hand if he could just play for him. You know what I mean? Like, he trusts him and believes in him that much. He would go out there, you know what I'm saying, without his best weapons, just to be out there to do what he can for Mike. So Mike's got to do that for him as well. Mike's got to stand in front of him and say, listen, I love you too much. Can't lose you.
Do the Dolphins
take some time, rest up.
Do the Dolphins even deserve a playoff berth after their recent play?
If they do what's required to get in there, I mean, like I said, anything can happen once the playoffs. Once you get in there, you can say you don't deserve it or whatever, but I've seen strange things that happen. But if you don't deserve to be in there and you get in there, normally you're not going to be in there long anyway. So I think all that takes care of itself, this and that. But I think as a player and everything, you prepare to do what you got to do to get in there, because if you make the playoffs, it's just a huge. You feel good because it's only basically 14 teams that make it in there. Everybody else is watching. So, of course, the analysts, that's their job to say this or that or whatever. I don't pay attention to that. If you make it in, you should have got in there. If you didn't, you shouldn't have. So everybody knows the rules. Everybody knows the scenarios. This and that. If you do what it takes to get in there, you're in there. That's the way I look at it.
Ballgame.
I mean, in the game of football, bro, deserve don't really factor in for me, man. If you did the work, man, and you did the grind, and you make the cut based off of the effort you put in on the field week in and week out, then hell yeah, you deserve to be there. You did what you needed to do to get there. I think across the board, it's the race is always to be in the top 14 at this point. So, whatever you had to do to get there, it sometimes it's a matter of it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And hell, if you finish ugly but you still make the cut, then hell yeah, you deserve to be there, because you had to go through week 1 to week 17 to get there. And to me, it ain't no deserve. It's you earn the right to be there. Yeah. Now, what you do what you do when you get there.
Yeah, that's a different story, though.
That's a whole different thing. Yeah.
That's why I never got over emotional with any of these losses, or I never overreacted, was because we were never out of the playoffs. People were calling us frauds. Right. Remember, if they lose to San Fran, they're frauds. If they lose. That's why I never jumped on board with any of that stuff. This question was for you guys to answer for all the people who call us frauds and stuff. Because, we're not now. Let's have the conversation when we don't make the playoffs after starting 8-3. But we ain't out of the playoffs yet. Right. So, I wasn't ready to overreact and stuff. So I wanted to ask you guys that. Final thoughts from you guys on this weekend's game with the Patriots and your score predictions. Let's hear if we remain a perfect 16-0, according to Richmond Webb's weekly score prediction.
Man, I wish I'd have got more right. I ain't gonna even lie. Hey, man, it's too late. A player don't change his game in the 9th inning, so hey, I'm going with him. I think you and Ballgame gave the blueprint. I think it's got to be smash mouth football. I think we got to run the football. I think it's going to be a low scoring game, but it is a winnable game. If we were playing an offense similar like Buffalo this week without Tua being in there, I'd be like, we might be in trouble. But like I said, in Ballgame said, you know what New England's going to do. They're going to try to run the football. They're going to rotate those 3 running backs in there. So this should be a smash mouth physical football game. And I think the Dolphins already know what they're faced up to get. They just got to go up there and take care of business. If we can run the football and not put Teddy in a situation where, he's got to throw it over 30-plus times a game, I think this is a winnable game. That's the way I approach it. And I'm going to go 2017 Dolphins.
Knew it. Okay, go Ballgame.
Well, I think when you take Uno out of the starting lineup, that changes some of the point production that we can have. I really believe that if the Dolphins don't do anything else, they got to establish and set the tone and send the message that they're willing to be physical for the entire game, not just for 1 or 2 quarters. You got to do it for the full 60 minutes, and that's going to serve them that much better moving forward towards the postseason. My prediction is 17-14 because I just don't necessarily believe that. I believe the game is going to be won in the trenches, and I believe that New England they have an uncanny way of hitting you with some weird stuff to get a couple of points, and their defense is pretty good in stopping the run, and they're sound on the back end as well. But I just think that we still have the better skilled players, and that's gonna propel us to the win. So I'm saying 17-14 Dolphins in a fairly smash mouth
game
affair.
Before we get out of here, I want to ask you guys, do you think Eichenberg plays? Because they activated him officially a couple of days ago and moved Gaskin to the IR.
Nah, I think he just
You don't think he plays? What do you think, Richmond?
Probably not, but they'll probably have him in the event that somebody goes down, that he'll probably be one of the guys that goes up. But it's kind of hard to,
All right, gentlemen, as always, a pleasure. Hopefully, we've been saying it for weeks now. Hopefully we meet again next week under better circumstances. Let's go. Hey, man, with or without Tua, there's a job to be done. Get it done, Teddy. Get it done, Mike. Get it done, offense. Get it done, defense. Next man up mentality. Rally around it. Teddy is good enough to get this W in New England. I believe that. So go get it done. Take care of business, TCB. All right? Appreciate all y'all.
Do we need to put out a missing persons?
For what?
Do we need to put out a missing persons alert on Mike Gesicki?
Oh, no, he's already in Boca. Bro, that guy's already in Kokomo, bro. All right, appreciate all y'all. See y'all on Friday for the Dolphins preview of their game this weekend. So I will see all y'all on Friday to preview the game. Have a good evening, guys.
Yeah, y'all stay blessed out there.